Hey there, all you beautiful Texans. Welcome back to the James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. I know, good to see you too. Yeah, so I don't know what we're going to talk about today. I think we're going to talk about how, tipping's getting way out of control. I'm just kidding. If you roll your window right now, you can probably hear Dan Bennett and Bruce Collins having a stroke. No, we're talking about the debate. We're probably going to talk about it for all 3 straight hours. I'll give a little 9/11 remembrance, but I don't want this to all be me. I don't want this to all be guests. I want to hear from you. 800-288-9227. So much to cover. I got to meet the Texas Attorney General, Ken Paxton, again last night, and Alan West was there. I'll tell you about the debate watching party that I went to. We're going to have to talk about whether or not they're eating pets in Springfield and the goose at the park and roadkill. This is so stupid. Like, I knew there would be some part of the debate that went off the tracks. I just didn't know we'd be talking about eating pets the next day. So we'll have to get into this because this has turned into the biggest fact check of the week, probably the month. And Raven Harrison, after the debate last night, you knew they would focus on the dumbest part of the debate and make it the headline, the pet eating stuff. But overall, who do you think won?
I do think that overall Trump won, but it was not the runaway I was hoping it was going to be. I felt like she was extraordinarily polished beyond what she normally presents. And there's a lot of talk now going on about whether those pearl earrings were actually an earpiece that is marketed online right now as a device that can be listening. But what I just thought was that she had it was a 3-on-1 hatchet job of her basically having a free reign to lie, put out debunked theories, and get zero fact check. They fact checked nothing that Kamala said. So in lieu of that, she should feel pretty confident to go into another one. But if I was President Trump, I would not recommend it.
Well, I don't want to assume everybody saw it last night. What Raven's talking about is the moderators interrupted and fact-checked Donald Trump 7 times, and they did that in real time to Kamala 0 times. Now, they've gone back, and you go look at ABC News' post-debate coverage and some of the stuff they were putting out this morning, and they've gone back and fact-checked a couple of things she said here and there. But for those who saw it in real time, yeah, Kamala Harris got 0 pushback from the moderators. Trump got fact-checked 7 times. Now, do you think the average American voter, or really that swing voter that we're trying to convince, Raven, to change their mind, do you think that swayed them any?
I think for the ones that were leaning and have those tendency, absolutely. Because, again, it wasn't small things like what accent she was going to use today or whether she was black or Chinese or purple or whatever she was going with. It was the big things of saying that he put out there, the governor, and that the platform that Tim Walz has supported about abortion after birth, which is not abortion, it's murder. She flat out denied that the moderate, that didn't happen. There's video of the then governor saying you put the baby aside after it's born and decide what to do with it. That is absolutely true. She didn't get any hip checks on her border record. She got nothing on, saying he's weak on this. But, I mean, they just basically, the Charlottesville hoax, that was debunked by ABC. Why did they let her, again, get on there and lie? And like about 2025, said 3 times, I have nothing to do with it, don't know anything about it, haven't even read it. And she kept going back to that, and and called January 6th another insurrection. I have friends who were in jail for this, but she bailed out BLM. So that's what you were looking at, is there was an opportunity for her to spew every lie she wanted to. They knew they were lies, but they didn't have anybody, no real journalism took place last night.
Right. I really feel like I should have put Project 2025 on the debate cards for last night's debate watch party. How did your cards do?
My cards were great because I knew what to do. I had weird expression. I had, the mics being unmuted, even though they said they were going to be muted when the other one was talking. I called that one too. And like you said, you just got to have, James, the center square. Okay. And if you have center square of running out after the debate by talking to your friendly reporters, then that was my bingo.
Yeah, I found what was interesting that we learned from my bingo cards is the words that weren't crossed up. Did you know LGBT, that phrase never came up?
Well, that didn't come up. And do you see how quickly they cut the mic when he talked about getting shot in the head?
Yep.
that wasn't even that long ago, and they didn't even want to talk about that rhetoric that they put out there is what led to some deranged lunatic doing that. But that's where we are. All she did was flip-flop. I never said I was going to ban fracking. Yes, you did. I never said I was going to take your guns. You said it 3 days ago on Twitter. Okay? I mean, it's just literally, it was unreal watching them just coo and caw over them. In fact, I don't think she even needed to be there. The moderators could have done it without her.
Right. All right. Here's the real question, Raven. Do you think it moved the needle with the few people who were undecided?
I do feel like I've been sweeping the polls this morning and looking at all the feedback, bad and good, and I'm seeing a lot of independents who are going, you know what? Both candidates have been in office before, so we have a unique perspective to see what they've already done. Her record sucks.
Right.
So
okay.
I think that it did move. Both of them have a record. It's just, do people want to eat and be free?
That's kind of a big one, Raven. How do they find your work outside of the James Show?
They can find me at theroarmission.com or ravenharrison.com. We'll be circling the country.
All right, there she is, the great Raven Harrison, one of the most prolific guests on the James Show. Now, let me ask you the same things I was asking Raven. Who do you feel won the debate? Why do you feel they won the debate? Will it change your vote? Will it change anyone's vote? And I want to hear from those of you who are undecided. We had a great lady who called in yesterday who is brave enough to admit that she's undecided. She explained her position. And I really thought it's the most helpful insight into what people like her are thinking. So if you are, look, we're not going to beat you up like, how dare you not know who you're voting for? No, she was young. It's kind of what we expect. Totally understandable. I would like to hear from you. I'll put you to the top of the line if you're an undecided. 800-288-9227. But those of you who just want to drop bombs or, be flamethrowers, I love to hear, if you're going to be fired up like Raven was, I'd love to hear from you too. 800-288-9227. Who do you feel won the debate? This is The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, welcome to The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Of course, ABC was biased. And that's what made June so amazing. That's what made the June debate just striking, really, is how fair Jake Tapper and Dana Bash were. Well, you got to remember, the media isn't for Joe Biden. The media isn't for Kamala Harris. They are for Team Blue. They are for keeping that sort of elite top level of society that they're in. They're intertwined with and interwebbed with. They're for whatever is good for that group, for the elites. Having Joe Biden on the ticket was not good for them anymore. So all they had to do is go out, do a straight job moderating a debate, and let the results take care of themselves. That's what was good for Team Blue. That's not what was good for Team Blue in this debate. What's good for Team Blue was trying to sink Donald Trump's hopes of being president while shielding Kamala Harris from any mistake that could hurt her. And so that's why you saw such a different performance from David Muir and Lindsay, whatever her name is. I don't know why you shouldn't be shocked. I understand why you're upset, but you shouldn't be shocked. But the question is now, who won the debate? Now, you can go look at the debate and you can have your own opinion. But for me, to be able to answer who won the debate is going to take a day or two, because right now the results of the debate are still up in the air. Because the results of the debate, pragmatically speaking, and the way it's applied in the real world, the only thing that matters is how is it perceived? How is it reported on? Does it move the needle? Does it change the polls? Does it change anyone's mind? And so we have to wait, because most people didn't see the debate last night. Most people in America didn't watch it. They're not as studious as you. They're not on top of it. They're not as informed and keeping up with it and responsible, really, as you, civically speaking. And so they've got to hear and form their opinion on the debate and just the whole election through secondhand means, through whatever media platforms they're going to end up consuming it through after the fact. And I don't think we'll really know the real answer to who won the debate for a couple more days. But right now, we can just ask, what did you see? Who do you think won the debate? 800-288-9227. Let's start with Joe and McKinney. You're first up on the James Show. Who do you think won the debate?
Well, I am up in the air, but I do think Donald Trump definitely did well. I do think that he was blindsided, and I think that it definitely was a one-way street for the moderators going after him. And the one thing that sticks out in my mind is when he was talking about the immigrant deal where the Haitians were coming into Ohio and they said they're even eating cats. And David Muir's like, oh, well, we just called the mayor of whatever town, and that's not true. There's no such thing of that situation happening. And this morning, guess what? On TikTok's the body cam footage from the police officers confronting the lady that was eating the cat.
What? Joe and McKinney, you mean that David Muir got... Here's the body cam footage, by the way.
Yeah.
Why'd you kill the cat? Smile for me.
They're checking for cat in her teeth.
Smile with your teeth. Go like this. Did you eat that cat? Did you eat it? No, why'd you kill it?
All right, but Joe and McKinney, you saw that. However, no one else gets to see that unless they go seek it out, because the media is shielding a lot of voters, a big chunk of America, from that. Because look, just this morning, you and I saw the video. It got passed around. We got a little curious. Let's go fact check it for ourselves. Look, this is ABC News this morning. They're still fact checking this and saying Donald Trump is wrong. This was ABC News.
PolitiFact Executive Director Aaron Shirachman to help put some
PolitiFact
and other claims from both candidates in context here. Aaron, you heard David there. And PolitiFact, I know, has looked into this as well. So what did you find about that claim that we heard from former President Trump last night?
Well, it's great to be with you, Diane, and it was awesome to see David push back with facts when Donald Trump made that claim. This is a baseless claim that started on social media that somehow winded up in the mouth of the Republican Party presidential candidate. This has been disproven by a city spokesperson, by the mayor and the city police, who all say this is not happening. Donald Trump, after the debate, went to his Truth Social.
Yeah. All right. So, Joe and McKinney, you are making one of the more profound points. And this is the perfect example. It doesn't matter if you're right, Joe. It doesn't matter if Trump's right or David Muir's right. It matters what the people who didn't watch the debate, who are going to see the reporting on it, what they end up believing after the fact. And in the last election, there was 17% of the people who voted who said if they would have known Hunter Biden's laptop wasn't Russian disinformation, if they knew it was real, that would have changed their vote. Those are the people who are going to decide whether or not that's true.
Yeah, you're correct. And I take my wife, for example, you know, when we heard that last night on the TV, she's like, there's no way. He's got to be lying. That didn't happen. And so she's one of those people. And now, you know, she's like, oh, my God, it did happen. So, I mean, when you think it's too crazy that it wouldn't happen, it's happening.
Right. Thank you very much for your call, Joe and McKinney. Yeah, and that's the one story that a bunch of people are focusing on, and they're doubling down on the fact that that's a lie. And it's not just like that one cat. You know, there's a Springfield City Commission meeting where some guy's talking about watching the Haitians killing ducks in the park. I mean,
they're in the park grabbing up ducks by their neck and cutting their head off and walking off with them and eating them.
Okay, so a lot of us have been seeing this passed around on social media because we don't watch ABC News, CBS News, NBC News. We see all these other second tier, mostly bloggers doing stuff for free, or shows like The James Show or WBAP following our social media. And we've been seeing this for weeks, for a good couple of weeks here. You know, we do have the city councils, the videos of people in Springfield talking about what they see, talking about seeing immigrants eating roadkill. And ABC News is still fact-checking that as false. We have the Ohio Attorney General saying Springfield's got a big problem. Now, he didn't specifically say eating pets.
Springfield, the city services, the schools, the healthcare system is groaning to the breaking point under the load. This could happen to any city in Ohio. It could happen to any city in America.
And they're just trying to deny the pet eating stuff because they're trying to deny the crisis, period, because that makes Kamala look bad. She was the border czar. This happened under her watch. Communities are being destroyed and transformed and never to return again. And yeah, there are some immigrants doing some awful things. And it's not just, you know, killing a couple ducks and killing a couple cats. They're trashing the place. Crime's going up. Car insurance is going up. You know, there's all kinds of grievances. They just focus on the silliest sounding one to discredit it. But here's a guy in Springfield talking about how his insurance went from $300 a month to $400 a month in 6 months because Haitians are having so many car wrecks.
I live in Springfield, Ohio, where the influx of Haitians are, and we have had an enormous amount of car accidents because they don't know how to drive. So now, because of that, and my insurance has gone up over $100 a month within 6 months.
And it's not just that they're eating ducks and eating pets. It's the car insurance. It's the crime. It's the defacing of the community. It's the safety. It's the you don't feel safe walking around outside anymore because there's just a bunch of wandering, unemployed Haitians who don't even speak your language. We'll get back to the phones. Who won the debate? We're going to let you take over next. 800-288-9227. This is the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. All right, football fans. Cowboys got off to a good start. I hope your college team got off to a good start too. And you're going to be watching football anyway this weekend. Why not add a little spice to it with the Prize Picks app? Look, Prize Picks is something that it was new to me. I thought it was just another fantasy sports app. I was wrong. It's a lot more than that. You don't have to go through a draft. You get to have all the players you want, and it's just you against the numbers. For instance, it'll give you the yardage for Dak. It'll say like 240. I think last week it was 240 and a half yards. And if he throws more than that, you win. If you can pick more or less. If you pick right, you win. That's all. You get all the players you want. You get Micah Parsons. You can get CeeDee Lamb. And if you are a hater, this actually works for you too. If you think, well, now that Dak's the highest paid quarterback in the league with all this guaranteed money that he's just going to lay an egg and he has no real reason to go out there and try and hurt himself, pick under. It's that easy. It's fun stuff. Check it out. And I'll give you a little lanyap on top of that too. Download the Prize Picks app. And when you sign in, use the promo code WBAP. With the first $5 you play, you'll get a $50 bonus. That's right, $50 bonus just for using the promo code WBAP. So go check it out. You're watching football anyway. Add a little bit of fun to it. It's America's #1 fantasy sports app. Prize Picks. Run your game. Hey there, welcome back to the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Question of the day, who won the debate? I think I might have a guy who thinks Trump lost. Let me see about this one. Sorry to spoil the surprise there, but Don in Dallas, you're on WBAP. Who do you think won the debate?
Oh, after last night, Harris did.
Why do you say that?
And Trump lost it.
Go ahead.
He lost the debate. And reason why, she was able to be smart enough to push his buttons to the point where he went on his rants and he fell into the trap. And you watched her where she would sit back, be polished like someone who's presidential, and just let him destroy himself because she knew how to push the buttons like crowd sizes at the events. You lost the election, all that stuff. And if you really watched him last night, all you did was look down, humper down, and it got to the point where all he did was he got to the point where he's almost yelling and screaming. He got so mad about it. As a presidential person, you're supposed to be cool, calm, collected, and not take the bait. Harris was smart enough to give it to him. And now here you look at all the Trump supporters today now, who some are actually admitting, yeah, Harris won the thing. But the thing is that they're trying to play damage control and make excuses. The biggest problem is that they want to say that Donald Trump is the reason he lost the debate. Because if he was smart, he would have gone in and said, hey, instead of taking the bait and bringing up Victor Ortiz and bringing up bringing up the eating cats and stuff, whether it's quote true or not, the independent voter doesn't want to know about that. What they want to know about, what about the economy? What about immigration? What about this? And it got to the point where, I mean, a lot of the independent voters, and I consider myself independent, I voted on different tickets almost every other year. You know, I looked at it and I go, this guy lost it. This guy lost it, and he fell into the trap. And now I saw the thing this morning where Trump's saying he doesn't even want to do another debate, even if it's on Fox, unless Sean Hannity is a moderator. You know, because, you know, he knows that she could push his buttons. And look how he acted. Think about it. As an independent person, watched how she acted last night. Watch her decorum. Watch how she talked. She seemed cool. She didn't scream. She didn't yell. You know, she played it smart. He fell into the trap, and she outsmarted him.
Well, I think you're giving her too much credit. It's not so much that she outsmarted him. No one ever pushed back against her, and she didn't push his buttons. David Muir pushed his buttons. David Muir was the one giving him the fact checks, and I agree with you on the dog stuff. It's not that he's wrong about the dog stuff. It's that you gave them sound bites and you gave them something silly to talk about, and so they can ignore the issues. And the issues do not help Kamala Harris. The issues helped Donald Trump, and the less we spent, less time we spent. And thank you for being an independent calling in.
That trap.
No, he did. He did. Yeah. Dude, if I was him, I wouldn't have said anything about.
I want to talk to Kami. I want to talk to Kami. I want to talk to Border.
Yep. I agree. He should have done that, and I really appreciate you being an independent voice calling in. Let's go to a not independent voice. Let's go to an RNC spokesman, Tommy Pigott, back on the James Show. Your response to that, a guy who says he's an independent and he thought Kamala looked better last night. What do you think, Tommy?
Well, look, everyone's going to make their own judgment looking at the debate. I think from what I was seeing that Kamala Harris had two fundamental goals going into the debate. First was to try to separate herself from Joe Biden and all the failures of this administration. And second was to explain why all of the promises she's making aren't just empty promises, because she's not doing them now. And I think she failed on both those fronts. And if you look at some instant reaction in terms of a CNN poll, for example, President Trump actually grew his lead in terms of who's trusted most on the economy. We saw reports from Reuters and the New York Times showing that their focus groups of independent voters were backing President Trump over Kamala Harris. I think when it came to the issues, President Trump won that debate and he grew his lead on the most important issues facing America.
Yeah, but people are talking about eating dogs and not the economy, because even polls show that more people think the economy was better under Trump than it was under, Biden/Harris the last 4 years. And that's not doing us any good, because that's not what people are talking about today.
Well, I think there's maybe a distinction between some of the viral clips we're seeing online versus what some of the main takeaways were in terms of what voters saw. Just given reports from those focus groups, other polls that we've seen, President Trump expanding his lead in terms of who's trusted on the economy, Kamala Harris giving no sort of plan at all or separation from Joe Biden's administration, because it's really her administration as well. And I think when you drill down and you look at actually what happened yesterday and look at how voters are taking away that debate, President Trump, in my mind, was the clear victor.
Well, I hope you're right, because there was some interesting polls. Like there was even a CNN poll that said they thought Trump performed better than Kamala Harris when it comes to the economy, which in most elections is the most important issue. Thank you very much for your time, Tommy Pigott from the RNC. All right, coming up next, we have full phone line, so I'm just going to talk to callers next. All you guys on hold, you're up in about 5 minutes. It's the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Oh, my God. All right, this is the James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. But I mentioned some animals are getting eaten in Springfield, and now people are just sending me messages about all kinds of reports from Springfield, all kinds of animals getting eaten. Someone was showing me, this wasn't a 911 call, it was a non-emergency line, but somehow a recording got out. Some guy's like, dude, there's like 4 Haitians. They just killed a bunch of geese, and they're walking off with them.
It was about 2 minutes back behind me. I was trying to get my phone out and trying to make it to this orientation on time. I'm time crunching here. And I saw that. I'm like, yeah, this has got to be reported.
So how many geese did they have?
They each had 1.
Yeah, so there was 4 Haitians. They each got a geese from the park. They're like, hey, it's a good day hunting. Let's go back and have dinner. But the ABC fact check last night said, no, that's not happening. Don't believe your eyes and ears and reports of dogs and cats and ducks and geese and roadkill being eaten. Even if you could see with the body cam footage with your own eyes, don't believe that. Believe David Muir. Believe the experts. Believe this goober on ABC News that was lying this morning where they were fact checking them. 800-288-9227. I mean, how do these lies live when we're in 2024 and everybody can just pass around the videos of Haitians eating animals in Springfield? Aaron in Houston, you're next up on WBAP. Your thoughts on the debate?
I think Kamala was able to pander to the middle class with very empty lies, and she won a big blow with that. I don't agree with her winning the blow that way, but she won a very big blow that way because she kept saying all middle class, but then she said your first child, your first home, your first business. The average middle class person doesn't fall into that. How many middle class people lost their house during the Barack Obama housing bust in 2008? So it doesn't apply to them. How many people went out and started a business to do PPP loan fraud, and now they have an EIN, an LLC? It doesn't apply to them. And most Americans, unless you're 18 years old, well, I guess she doesn't fall into it. She doesn't have any biological children. Most Americans have a child. So it doesn't cater to you. It caters to immigrants who you can't prove if they've owned a business. You can't prove if they've had a child. You can't prove any of those things for those people, and it's going to open a floodgate for fraud to take place. Every time this country's tried to give to the lower class or the middle class, it opened up fraud. I live in Houston, Texas. I've seen it during Hurricane Katrina, where millions of people were collecting food stamps and FEMA emergency checks.
Multiple FEMA. Yeah. My wife's from New Orleans, and she was down there when all that happened. And I lived in New Orleans directly after that for a few years. And everyone has stories about all these ripoffs and whatnot. But listen, the pandering works. You promise some people, I'll pay off your student loan. I'll help you buy that first house. I'll pay for your medical bills. I'll relieve your medical debt. These things work. They work. A lot of people are feeble-minded. A lot of people are self-interested. And throughout the record of history, whether when it was tried in ancient Athens or when it was tried in Rome, these democracies always crumble from a financial standpoint when the people realize they can vote themselves goodies from the public treasury. And so she's just playing that old card. And of course it's going to work. It's human nature.
But, she talks about the country like she's sitting around Big Mama's kitchen, planning the family budget for the family trip. And I find it odd that she speaks family, but she doesn't even carry her own married name. That's not family orientated. It's very unlike family to be married and not carry your own married name. I agree with Donald Trump. It is to her best interest to be black this week, and she speaks very both sides of the mouth kind of a thing. Like she almost told a lie last night, and I believe someone was in her ear and told her to stop talking. She said, my mother was a small bit, and then she stopped. And then she said, well, my mom's best friend was a small business.
You know what? That's a good observation, because I have seen passed around, maybe you've seen this too, Aaron, the earring that looks like a pearl earring, but it's really a clip. That's an earpiece, and someone was putting it side by side with the close-up of Kamala's ear. And, if she had an earpiece, there was some weird starts and stops like that you just described. I'm pretty suspicious about that. I don't know if we'll ever get to the bottom of that mystery, but I am very suspicious of that as well. Let's go to Dwayne in DeSoto. You're next up on WBAP. What'd you think of the debate last night, Dwayne?
Well, I've never been hunting, but now I know what a turkey shoot is like, because this was simply a situation for them to go after Trump. And now Trump could have known, I think, because he's talked about how ABC is so biased. Maybe he could have prepared better. But let me tell you, truth does win in the end. A family member of mine up in Pennsylvania, it was kind of on the fence, and I said, well, here's some things that Kamala Harris has said. Watch the debate and see if she tells the truth. And when I talked to him today, he says, oh, my God, I can't believe she lied. It's all on video. And now he's going to vote for Trump. I think Trump ought to have a press conference relatively soon and just say, look, here's what David Muir said was false, and here's the truth, and just go fact by fact by fact and point out how biased that was.
I would love that.
It was a turkey shoot.
I would love that. That's a great idea. He should do his own little fact check. That they'll probably try and hide it on CNN and MSNBC, but there's some people who will see it on social media. That would be a good counter tactic. Dwayne in DeSoto, you need to get in Trump's ear and maybe get on his advisor team. All right, I'd like to hear from you next. 800-288-9227. Your thoughts on last night's debate. I'll talk to you. We'll play some highlights. If you bring it up, I probably got it waiting for you right here. And the real results of the debate, we'll find out in a couple weeks. Also, if you want to let ABC News know how great they did with the moderators, I know, calm down. There's a little sarcasm here. We have linked to the ABC News Facebook page on the WBAP Facebook page. So why don't you just go ahead and click through there and let them know what a great job they did being fair and unbiased in the debate last night. Shut up. 800-288-9227. 800-288-9227. Texas Rangers take on the Toronto Blue Jays Tuesday, September 17th at 7:05 p.m. Maybe you can win a family 4-pack of tickets from us. Text the word Rangers to 800-288-9227. And we got to give them to somebody. You have a chance to win them. Rangers to 800-288-9227. This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey there, all you beautiful people. Welcome to The James Show. It's News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Hey, listen, I told you to be nice, and I don't think it stuck. Now, are you going to be like my kids and you're going to listen to me, or are you going to do the exact opposite of what I just told you to do? On the Facebook page, we linked to ABC News. They were nice enough to host the presidential debate last night, and I just wanted to give you direct access to the platform so you could give them, maybe you had some constructive criticism on the job they did, but I told you to be nice and be respectful, and I don't think y'all are following that rule to the T. The big question of the day is, who do you think won the debate? I'm going to ask Anthony Russo from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast in just a second. This other one looks pretty good, though. Clark in Frisco, you're on WBAP. Your thoughts on last night's debate, sir?
Hey, James. The Shady Lady V hasn't won anything. She's run unopposed in elections in her home state. That's not a win. She was introduced to her current husband by one of the higher ups at ABC, according to Megyn Kelly. So you can't tell me she didn't have the questions ahead of time, number two. And number three, guess who's better off now than they were 3.5 years ago? Mexican drug cartels and drug lords. That's who.
Do you think the average swing voter feels the same way?
I think if the average swing voter hasn't been educated by now, like one of the previous callers you had, there's no hope for him. There's no hope for him.
I wouldn't say that. We've got 55 days. There's some people who can change their mind in 55 days. And remember, we don't write these people off, because so many of the people that are going to be voting for Team Red in November, 20 years ago, they were voting for Team Blue. You know, if you're young and liberal, you don't have a heart. If you're not old and conservative, you don't have a brain. And there are people going through that evolutionary process. So I think we need to be reaching out a hand a little bit more to these undecided people, and not be like, oh, you don't know what's going on, you must just be an idiot. Well, maybe they're coming out of their idiocy, and we need to be a little more open-armed than that, Clark.
I agree with you. We'll show them grace and mercy, and we'll pray for them. God help them.
There you go.
Amen.
That's what I'm looking for, Clark. All right, now let's go to my next guest, Anthony Russo from the Truth Will Set You Free podcast. Who do you think won last night's debate, sir?
Look at you changing hearts and minds. That was beautiful. I'm going to have a lot of people probably not like this. I think, unfortunately, Kamala Harris won by a nose. It was close. I think it literally was like a prize fight. Not a really great one, but it was a prize fight. First 15 minutes went to Donald Trump. He was cool, calm, collected, controlled. Kamala Harris was not answering any questions, which she really didn't the whole night. And then you got to the one comment. You're like, just hold it together. Just hold it together. And she said something about the rallies. And honestly, there were some questions I wanted him to answer so that I could talk to people about them. And one of them was, can you actually articulate it in your words, Donald Trump, exactly why you, quote unquote, killed that bill? And I can say my opinion on why it was bad, but I wanted his. So he failed all the way up into the first commercial from that point. Second half, it was pretty close, and then he finished strong. So like Sugar Ray Leonard, the last 30 seconds always counts the most, and I think he finished strong enough to make it at least a draw. And like you said, the biggest question isn't the Trump loyalists. It's not the Kamala loyalists or the anti-Trumpers. It's that 10-15% in the middle, those that are undecided for reasons, beknownst to us. And I think that, in all honesty, I don't think the needle moved last night.
Yeah, agreed. I got a lot of positive feedback on Trump's closing statement. Now, that says a lot, because that was probably the only thing he really had prepared, that he had any sort of memorization or stuck to a script. Just to use air quotes, as much as you can get a guy like Trump to stick to a script. But that's when he was the best.
Yeah, I agree. And it was like it almost like. You saw it in her face. She knew she got him. Like, that was the stuff they practiced. She spent 5 days in a closed room. Yeah. They're like, here's your 17 different things you're going to try to do and see if you can pull them off. And the rally comment is the thing that did it. And it's like, come on, Trump, you're better than that. Now, with that said, it was 3 against 1. But when the one of the three is Kamala Harris, you should still be able to do better. I do believe she was prepped. Now, there's the whole conspiracy about the earpieces, the earrings. I've been in the tech space. I have some friends that have reached out, and they've shown me, they're like, there's earrings with those balls, very, very similar to that. And that leads me to actually question some of the ability for her to possibly have an ear prompter. I've used an ear prompter. You can make it very similar to actually just speaking out. So I think there's something to be said about that. But in all reality, Trump had a lot of opportunities that he missed. There were some points that I would have liked him to articulate, but when he struggled, all he did is he went back to the whole, you're worse, this Trump, Biden's the worst, and it's like, stay away from it. Just get to the point and be articulate, and we didn't see that last night.
Yeah, and after watching the debate and really the follow-up debates that are happening, over and over, millions of times over for the next 24 to 48 hours, I find myself strangely wanting to try to eat a goose. I haven't eaten a goose in a long time, and now all of a sudden, Anthony, I'm getting a hankering for goose. How's the Truth Will Set You Free podcast? What are you guys doing over there?
We actually had a live stream last night. It was pretty good. We had 10,000 people watching by the end of it. We're just doing our weekly shows. Next week will be episode number 200 on Tuesday night on all the social media networks. Well,
congratulations. This is Anthony Russo. Check out his podcast, The Truth Will Set You Free. And if you know where I can get a good goose around here, 800-288-9227, 800-288-9227. Back to the phones we go. I'm asking you, in all seriousness, who do you think won the debate and why? This is The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. Welcome to The James Show, News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3. It may be super important because it may be the only debate that has had this presidential election cycle. Well, between the two people that are actually going to be on the ballot. It's weird that this wasn't the first presidential debate. We had sort of the minor league one that jettisoned a candidate in June. And one of the concerns was, well, could a candidate get jettisoned after this? Because we're sort of running out of time for new candidates. I think both sides should be happy with the way their candidate performed because both sides were just white knuckling through it. Just to let you know how strange of an election cycle is. You have both sides just saying, please don't say anything so stupid. It damns your presidential aspirations, because both sides were worried about that. Neither side was worried about hitting a home run or knocking a grand slam. They were worried about their own candidate self-immolating. So that's hilarious. We weren't even playing to win yesterday. It was like Jenga. No one wins. You just don't want to be the one big loser. All right, your thoughts. 800-288-9227. Let's ask David in Corsicana. Who do you think won the debate last night, David?
Well, I think it was a draw. What I was going to say, though, is we shouldn't be surprised about the lies, because she told us right up front what we were going to hear is nothing but lies.
Yeah, I tired of that lament. Everyone says the other guy lies. Every candidate, every year, every election cycle. And so for my Republican friends, you got to have something better than just saying the Democrat lies. And for my Democrat friends, you got to say something better than the Republicans lying. There's all kinds of twists to the truth and different perspectives and excuses and whatnot. And I don't know. That has no effect on me anymore. The other guy lies. Well, all politicians lie, and everyone gets accused of lying. Tell me where they stand on policy. Tell me how are they going to govern the country. And so anyone who's watching that, you gotta wonder, David, if all you're sticking with is she lies, or he's mean, or he's nice, or she's un-American, or she's a communist. Do these people not even know what their own policy platforms are? Do they not know? Like, I hate to put you on the spot here, David. What kind of economist are you? How would you describe your economic philosophy?
Well, I'm definitely a capitalist, small business, etc. But yeah, I don't know. I don't think the needle was moved very much at all last night. But I think we might have got a few, but I don't think it was pretty much moved. It certainly didn't move me any.
Yeah, I agree.
Hard conservative, and nothing will ever change me.
Right. I don't think 80% of the country can be moved any given election cycle. I think there's about 20% of people that even think about it, and most of them still stick with their previous preferences. There's probably about 10, maybe 5% of people that actually evolve. Right. Yeah, on this one.
No, you're probably right. I don't know that I would disagrey with that at all.
All right, good stuff.
I thought it was kind of comical that she started out saying, we're not going to hear nothing but a bunch of lies, and that's exactly what she did.
Yeah, that is a beautiful irony. Thank you for your call, David. Sticking with the phones, let's go to Martin in Euless. Hey, Martin, you're on WBAP. What do you think about the debate, sir?
I have a little bit of a take of the winner and the loser in this debate. First of all, I think it's kind of comical that we actually even call these debates, and that's not just this one. It's in debates in general. I mean, in this particular one, you have two commentators that were clearly on the Harris side. I mean, I don't think anybody could argue that. But I think the real winner and losers were that
the winner was the corporate media and the loser was the American people, because we didn't get a serious debate on the things that you were talking about, like the economy and inflation and the border and this, that, and the other. It was a tit for tat. It was, it was nonsensical for the most part. I think Trump had a couple of, lines about sending her a MAGA hat and all that. But, before the debate, I'd made the comment that if you don't know who you're voting for at this point, based on everything that's happened over the last 8 years, and based on, the condition of our country, then you either A, haven't been paying attention, or you're too stupid to vote in the first place.
Well, the two stupid people we can't do anything about. Let's focus on those people that don't know anything, because that's everybody. Everyone's born not knowing anything, and they have to go through the process by which they learn. Now, for a sad reality is the first thing they learn is what they're taught in public schools and then universities, and what they see on TV and what they hear from their favorite actors and their favorite musicians and artists. And so they start with a sort of a baseline left side of the political spectrum. And as they grow older, they have to move to the right. Now, these people that are changing their minds, these are people that are moving toward you. So let's not insult them too much. Let's try and help that process along. And that's what we really hope happens with these debates, is that you can move that process along, that natural evolution that so many people, probably most of the people who vote for Team Red, have to go through at some point in their life. And ABC does not want that to happen. Kamala Harris does not want people to evolve or talk about the issues or discuss, hey, what would be better, lower taxes for you or higher taxes for you? What would be better, a bigger government, or what if we spent less in DC, and what if we, God forbid, balance the budget? Because here's the nastiest part I thought about the debate here. When I was looking at my bingo cards, it broke my heart that the box for Constitution went unchecked. It didn't come up. You've got to be kidding me. It is the founding document for our country, and no one gives a rip about it. Now, the Constitution will show up in the transcript because it happened at the National Constitution Center in Philadelphia, where the Constitution was written. And so the only time it came up out of Kamala Harris's mouth is when she said a former four-star general said Trump has contempt for the Constitution of the United States and wants to terminate the Constitution of the United States. That's it. That's the only time it came up. The moderators didn't bring it up, like, hey, what's your thoughts on like the general welfare clause, or what are the limits of Congress's power under Article 1, Section 8, or, does the recent Supreme Court ruling stand constitutional muster when you talk about the division of power? There was nothing intelligent last night. It was all on like a fourth, maybe fifth grade level. And I find that's what's the most disappointing job about ABC.
Well, and I agree, and that's kind of goes along with the point that I'm trying to make. I mean, I think our biggest problem is that we have lost the ability to reason. We have lost the ability to, listen and watch the actions of the people in question. No, if you look at both of those,
right? We totally agree. The American people don't even know what an intelligent debate looks like because they've only seen this their entire lives. You're totally right, yep. Martin and Ulyss. I'm glad you called in. Thank you. I can squeeze in one more. Just make Garrett nervous over there. Stefano in Garland, you're on WBAP. What'd you think about the debate last night?
Hey, James. Flat out, Kamala won. I'm a Trumper. Spent 40 years in California. Unfortunately, got a chance to leave and pick Texas as my new home. And so, putting my
I love hearing that. I love hearing that.
Yes, sir. Putting my bias aside, Trump failed at providing more statistical facts. They go a long way in this debate. And, I feel like Trump's just never understood that the soapbox politician way of debating, like you got to do it, man. He never stepped up his debating skills. He still debates it like he's doing a rally, and that does not work. And I wish he would have. Now, yes, Kamala looked more polished. We'll never know if she got feather debate questions. Put that aside. Trump just dropped the ball bad. And if there was any swing voters out there, he lost them. Of course, like everybody said already on your show, how could he still be a swing voter? I mean, everything's so so polar opposites. It's like, you know where you stand these days, right? But, supposedly these swing voters are out there. And so I'm bummed out, man. And I don't know where we go from here. I guess we're going to find out.
Yeah, and that's why I like hearing from swing voters. We had one call in yesterday, and it was a beautiful insight into what they're thinking. And she was a young person. She said she was Gen Z in her early 20s, going through that evolutionary process that a lot of us went to. Like, I remember when I came out of college, I believed in global warming and all that environmentalism stuff. But as the years went along, I remembered the predictions they made, and when none of them came true, I was like, well, if they're lying to me about this, what else are they lying? Are they lying about the whole thing? And then you have to just discover it yourself. Oh, they are lying about the whole thing. Well, are they wrong about these other things too? Oh my goodness. And when you start doing your own, the more research you do, the more you start to agree with old Parker up here. That's the damnedest thing. 800-288-9227. I'd love to hear your thoughts on last night's debate. Still coming up, we got highlights from the debate that I haven't even gotten to yet, but really some of the bigger highlights are in the reaction to the debate, because that's what really matters. Not really the content of what they said, but how is the coverage afterwards going to play out to all the millions of people who didn't see the debate? So we'll cover all that. And Lisa Miller, researcher and author, coming up next on The James Show. News Talk 820 WBAP, now on FM at 93.3.